Okay, let's take a look at Chapter 8. Chapter 8 covers the wonderful and exciting world of persuasion. Two key objectives. First, we're going to identify proofs of persuasion. Proofs are the things that motivate us, that influence us. And then secondly, we're going to recognize and implement persuasion techniques. Now, this recording is going to be one of two parts. Okay, so let's do it. Let's talk about persuasion. Persuasion, in simplest terms, is influence. Now, we need to remove the negative connotations surrounding the word persuasion. Sometimes we think about being sold, being swindled, selling snake oil, all of these things. When we look at persuasion, your persuasion as a communicator is simply your influence. And when we influence with honesty and truth, and a variety of proofs, we are doing that ethically. So the first challenge we need to think about is persuasion is not bad when it is done ethically and soundly. Your persuasion is your influence, and it is a big part of what makes the world go round. In any given day, you are bombarded with hundreds, maybe even thousands of persuasive messages, from scrolling on your phone, to driving down the interstate looking at billboards, to walking into a store and seeing advertisements. All of these things are persuasion. So let's examine proofs, okay? We are going to look at three different proofs, and the first is logos. Okay, so that has a Latin root. But if you look at that, logos means logic. We are persuaded when things make sense. I think we can all agree to that. Logic and reasoning is persuasive, okay? So when we see stats, data, facts, that makes sense to us because it's verifiable. So if we look at this simple advertisement for pop chips, it is leaning on logos, logic. You'll see your fried chips, your kettle style chips, and your pop chips. And you can see the calorie and nutritional information below. And the logic aimed at here is you can have a bigger snack when you eat pop chips versus fried chips or kettle chips. Now, if you ask me, I'd rather have a smaller handful of some yummy deep fried kettle chips than pop chips, but I just want you to understand the logic that is being used here. Let's look at a second example of logos. Bounty, the quicker picker upper, 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less. Take a second and look at the reasoning applied here. There's a couple aspects of reasoning. Here we have 2 sheets that quit and 1 sheet that won't quit. So the logic here is this is more durable, it's going to do a better job, and you can use less, which means you spend less. You take better care of your resources. So again, logos is logic and reasoning. We are persuaded when something makes sense. The next piece or proof we're going to examine is ethos. Ethos means credibility. When you take in a speaker or a YouTube video or a TED Talk, typically that speaker shares what authority or experience they have on the subject. And we kind of want to know that as a listener. We want to understand, why are you the expert? Because that inherently registers as credible. It has ethos. Your ethos is trust and authority. So when we are told something, we want to believe that it comes from a credible source. So let's look at the advertisement here. Okay, we have Usain Bolt, if you remember, the world's fastest man. And he is paired with Gatorade, which is all about hydration, right? Peak athletic performance. So Gatorade is using Usain Bolt because of his authority in the subject. The world's fastest man probably knows something about hydration, and it's something you trust. It's verifiable. Let's look at another example of ethos. Again, credibility. Simple advertisement, 9 out of 10 dentists recommend Sensodyne toothpaste. Okay, what ethos or credibility is being pointed to here? Yes, that is dentists. Dentists, they are educated. They speak from a place of authority. So if 9 out of 10 recommend Sensodyne, we take that as credible. Okay, so that is our second type of proof, ethos. Again, that is trust and authority, aiming at credibility. The third and final proof that we look for is pathos. Pathos is emotion. It is beliefs. It is those things that your hearts align with. Now, yes, we want it to be logical. We want it to be credible, but pathos humanizes what is being persuaded. So if we look to the example here, St. Jude's Children's Hospital, give thanks for the healthy kids in your life and give to those who are not. How is this advertisement tugging on pathos? Well, first it's telling you if you have healthy children in your life, be thankful, queuing up that feeling. And then on the flip side, give to those who are not. We can recognize the importance of health and well-being, and we can understand the pain of children going through life-threatening illnesses. Pathos, emotions, and beliefs. The last example of pathos we're going to look at, good old Coca-Cola. Tagline, open happiness. Coca-Cola is iconic in terms of their marketing. They have done simply a fantastic job of even recognizing their brand by colors, by the cursive letterings, but then pairing this concept of joy. Give a Coke, give a smile. Open happiness. Okay, so we just looked at logos, ethos, and pathos. Again, logos is logic, ethos is credibility, and pathos is emotion. Next, I want to review effective persuasion techniques. And these are the 6 items that your text covers, okay? Overcoming resistance, tying facts to benefits, establishing credibility, making a reasonable, specific request, recognizing the power of loss, and sharing solutions and compromise. So I am going to use a recent scenario to bring these techniques to life, okay? We are going to examine these 6 techniques, but I want you to think back to COVID. And there was a big push during COVID to keep our small businesses alive, to shop small. There's a lot of messages influencing us to support our local restaurants, stores, retail outlets, and so forth. So we're going to look at the concept of shop small to examine these 6 pieces. The first then is establish credibility, okay? So we want the source to be truthful. We want the information to come from an experienced place, and we want experts to agree with it. So when Guy Vieri came to Sioux Falls for diners, dive-ins, and drives, he came during COVID. So this was a big boost for us. It established credibility that we have great eateries, diners, and restaurants right here in Sioux Falls. So Guy lended credibility to our restaurant industry. You can see him up here with Chef Omar. This was formerly Oh So Good, and then Looks Market down in the lower right. Credibility. Again, we leaned on an expert, a credible source to say, hey, we have great restaurants here. The second item, reasonable and specific requests. Okay, so you'll see the advertisement here. 5 ways to support small all season long. I like this because it basically was saying if you do not have extra money right now, there's other things you can do other than purchasing. So we have shop small, but if not that, like a post, leave a comment, write a review, tell a friend. Now, there were certainly things during COVID that I was not in need of. I didn't need new tires. I wasn't traveling. I was not buying formal wear. But a friend of mine who owns a boutique, I was liking, commenting, forwarding, sharing to support my friend. So influence comes when it's reasonable and specific. And I love how this says realistic and doable. These are all things people can do regardless of finances. Be clear. There's clarity and simplicity in these suggestions. And just a reminder that vague requests go nowhere. So shop small is a little bit vague. So I like how this advertisement gave us more specific, more clear, and realistic ways that we can support small business. Okay, next up, tie facts to benefits. Facts are great, but if we don't understand what they do for us, they do not influence. So we want to provide stats, reasons, analogies, and most importantly, tie the benefit to those things. So let's just pull out one specific instance in this advertisement. Small business, big impact. Small business employs 56.8 million Americans. That's huge. Let's go to this one, 28.8 million small businesses nationwide. These are ways where it's pulling out the facts and it's tying it to how it benefits you or our economy. Okay, next, recognize the power of loss. This is a biggie because people don't want to go backwards. They don't want to lose something they already have. So it's important when we persuade that we're explaining what will be lost. So for example, Brandon, South Dakota, where I happen to live, we lost our Marco's Pizza. And the community felt that, the power of loss. We have less pizza choices, right? We do not want to lose the businesses we have. Because if you have lived or grown up in a small town, you know that business is the heart of the community. It keeps people there. It builds the economy. It funds your schools. So recognizing the power of loss is central to persuasion. And let's look at this in terms of our shop small. Okay, explain what will be lost. And again, people don't want to lose something they currently have. So when I shop small with a local store, I support my community. I employ families. I build local parks and schools. I donate to charity. I support the dreams of a business owner. I am served and supported. I pledge to shop small. So the indication here is without your support, these things are lost. And growing up in a small community and living in one now, I understand the importance and I don't want our small businesses to go away. Okay, next, expect and overcome resistance. When we're influencing, we have to expect people to resist. And frankly, I prefer that because if somebody is presenting me a valid question, it means they're actually thinking about how does this impact me? It means they're moving towards the consideration process. So we want to anticipate opposition and be prepared with reasoned arguments and facts, okay? So let's look at our example. 62% of US shoppers say they shop more online now, more now than pre-COVID. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're saying, I recognize that. I understand the ease and the simplicity and the safety of shopping online. I get it. Okay, so we're anticipating that. And then we prepare with reasonable arguments if we blink back to our last slide. Okay, share solutions and compromise. Aim for a reasonable solution. Listen to those oppositions. Listen to the objections. Nothing is going to shut down a prospective sale or influence if you do not let that party share their concerns or their objections. Incorporate input to create buy-in. Okay. So let's look at our example. Support your small biz friends during COVID-19. Buy gift cards, write good reviews, share, repost, retweet, reschedule, don't cancel, tip, 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 ask how you can help. So what we're doing for here is aiming for things that are reasonable. No, I cannot keep small business alive on my own during COVID, but I can tip the pizza delivery person. I can write a review. I can reschedule and not cancel or buy gift cards for future gifts to keep those stores afloat. Okay, so we're going to stop right here, folks. And then in the next video, the second one, we're going to examine the ADA model, which is looking more at marketing in terms of persuasion. So by way of quick review, we just talked about proofs. We talked about logos with it, which is logic. Ethos, which is credibility, and pathos, which is trust. And then if I can blink back to my slide here, we looked at 6 techniques of persuasion: overcoming resistance, tying facts to benefits, establishing credibility, making a reasonable and specific request, recognizing the power of loss, and sharing solutions and compromise. Thank you.